It's my DraftKings and FanDuel main slate first look for week 13, and we're starting right now. What's up, guys? Welcome to another daily fantasy sports video. If this is your first time here and you want to become a profitable DFS player and get better at betting, start now by subscribing to the channel. Make sure you hit that notification bell so you don't miss anything along the way. All right, week 13, going to walk through each position today, and actually instead of having a video for each position individually, gonna just do one video this week. So if you're watching this for the first time on YouTube, definitely come hang out with us on Twitch. We go through our first looks live at 3 p.m. Eastern time, twitch.tv/JoeHolka. So if you want to ask some questions along the way, definitely get involved in the community and come hang out with us live next week. I will say that Thanksgiving week's always a really interesting one. I think people they're kind of thrown off of their process, right? So they've gone through, like a lot of people going home, like the Thanksgiving slate's obviously really exciting. If you haven't checked out the Thanksgiving slate video, definitely check that out as well. Walk through the entire slate and kind of talked about some of the plays that I like the most on the slate. Just kind of approaching that game by game, I think is still the play with late swap and all of that. But again, it's going to be a different kind of week for a lot of people. I think there's a lot of opportunity on the main slate on the week of Thanksgiving just because there's less time to prepare overall. And I do think that there's a lot of focus elsewhere. So interesting slate. We'll walk through it. This data sheet, if you are new to the YouTube channel, this is a data sheet that I make available to all my Twitch subscribers. It's basically each position, what I think really matters. So we'll walk through both of those at the quarterback position. And feel free, as always, guys, to kind of walk through this with me and ask questions along the way. I think it's an interesting spot. We got Lamar back on the slate, which is great. If you guys have been following along, Lamar has been someone that I've had pretty heavy exposure to all year. I think I went through a 4 or 5 week stretch where I basically played Lamar or Kyler Murray in every slate. Patrick Mahomes back as well, back on the main slate. So that's a great spot. Obviously, maybe we go back to him as well. So when we're looking at things at quarterback, I'm trying to really try and get that rushing floor. Lamar Jackson, Kyler Murray, definitely you get that from both of those guys as well. Someone's saying Dalton week in the chat. Oh, man. Is it? Is it actually Dalton week? That's terrifying. We'll look at Dalton in a second. I do think that Patrick Mahomes, though, like him and Lamar, they've got to be towards the top for the raw points as far as like not a great matchup. Baltimore versus San Francisco. Does this end up being like a Super Bowl matchup? Baltimore, San Francisco? That'd be pretty crazy. So not an elite spot by any means for Lamar, but has that really mattered this year? That's going to be a crazy game to watch. So yeah, still a decent total against San Francisco. He is a home favorite, albeit not a huge favorite in this game. This is just like insane, right? That you can actually project a guy for about 73 rushing yards at the quarterback position is absolutely nuts. As far as games to target, this Arizona and LA game, someone mentioned, I think, I can't remember where it was. Maybe it was Instagram earlier today. That Goff basically was, he's been so bad that he thinks that the Monstars took his powers. Shout out, gosh, I can't even remember the Space Jam. So maybe we go back to Goff and hope he gets his powers back. I don't know. I always prefer the Kyler side of that. Probably he's someone that I've struggled a little bit with at times, just because he hasn't been pushing the ball downfield. But if you're looking for rushing, he's the guy that could I guess threaten for that rushing bonus in any game. Him and Lamar, both of those guys, 6,400, get a decent price discount off of him. At home against the Rams, slight underdog, so like that. Hopefully it's a little bit of back and forth. Like I said, projecting that game for the most plays on the slate. Derek Carr, we'll see what happens with him, but versus Mahomes, that game I am projecting for a decent amount of plays as well, so that would be an interesting spot. Definitely think that Mahomes is back in play. Let's see what else we got here as far as guys that are pushing the ball downfield a little bit. Ryan Fitzpatrick, played him a decent amount last week, which ended up working out against Philly, who's definitely getting healthier. But I think that they're a team that we could target. It might be a little bit low on rushing yards for Fitz. He's someone that's taken off a decent amount recently, 5,400 for him. What do you guys think about Aaron Rodgers at the Giants? I haven't played much Rodgers this year, but I think he's interesting. He's 6,500 as far as like a price pivot in tournaments, basically. Z-Misk is in for that. Nice. Do we dare go back to Wentz? What's Wentz's price? 5,800. But in terms of Rodgers, I think it's a nice team total there for being on the road. And this Giants team, like I just like targeting them right now. I just think that these games are super interesting from a DFS perspective. You're not getting much of a discounted price, but yeah, basically the same price as Kyler. I think I prefer Kyler. But I always think that Rodgers is interesting for tournaments. It's Mookie says he's too expensive. He probably is. Let's look at some of the cheaper guys. Let's try and uncover a cheaper play here. Oh, it's gross. Someone said Andy Dalton, so let's take a look at Andy Dalton. He's playing against the Jets. That's not the worst thing. Coming off that injury, I don't know. It's his average intended air yards not great, not giving you anything on the ground, low total. That game basically middle of the pack as far as plays. But I mean, there's pretty clear guys you can stack Dalton with, so I don't hate the idea of that. Not really on Delvin Hodges. Cleveland's a team that pressures a decent amount. I don't know. Just a guy coming in as a third string quarterback, doesn't give you much on the ground. Not super in on that. Haskins is someone that I don't think I can play against Carolina, but 4,600, great price. Brandon Allen, I don't know. I don't love any of these guys down here. I think like the cheapest guy that I think I would be considering is Fitzpatrick. How do you guys feel about it? Yeah, let's take a look at Wentz, Steve. I kind of agree with you. 5,800 for him in that game against Miami. Like that's that total for a guy at 5,800. Just like that alone has to put this guy pretty squarely in play, right? Not a zero in the run game. Yep. Do we go back to Wentz? The game environment should be at least decent. Clear guys if you want to stack up Philly to bring it back with. I don't hate it, man. Definitely don't hate it. I prefer him to Kyle Allen for sure. I mean, there's just like probably bench risk at this point with Kyle Allen, right? I will say that Washington, one of the worst teams in the league at defending short passes. So take that for what it's worth. I don't know. I still would much rather have Carson Wentz for 300 more. I guess my weekly thing where I give everyone permission to play Christian McCaffrey. 10.5, his price still hasn't moved. He's 11K on FanDuel. What are we doing with CMC on FanDuel, Steve? Oh, they cut Matthews yesterday. Good to know. 11K on FanDuel for CMC against Washington. 30th at defending the short pass, like I said. Maybe just ends up being checked down city to Christian McCaffrey again. Do people just want to continue to fade this guy? I don't know. Asking for a friend because I don't really know how that feels. Yes, it's Mookie. You do have permission to play CMC. Yeah, I mean, it's tough to poke many holes in them. I don't think we need to talk about him much more. My boy Lenny with a couple touchdowns last week. I believe he got in the end zone twice, didn't he? Maybe it was just once. Still a guy that like you knew that was coming, right? Just had so much progression coming his way when it came to the touchdowns. He's 7,500. I mean, he's someone that his volume has not been an issue. Yeah, he did get 2 touchdowns. Wow, he was actually 3 yards short of the bonus last week. Rough. Yeah, 24 rush attempts, 9 receptions. Like, what's crazy is he did all of his damage last week when he was like well behind in this game. Like literally, like they started feeding him the ball. So he had over 30 touches in this game. Great. I mean, great for the people that went back to Fournette and kind of trusted the volume there. I guess this is the primary volume versus matchup situation, right? So 7,500. Tampa Bay is the best defense in the league against the run. That's what they say, at least. I don't pay as much attention to matchup as most people. I'm a volume guy. So yeah, I would assume you're going to get Fournette at super low ownership in this spot. But the volume super elite, honestly, for a guy that's 7,500. Like nothing's really changed at that point. I'm kind of with you, Steve. I don't really care at this point. Like that type of volume for 7,500. You have to consider him, I think, at least. Nice team total for sure. At home, slight favorite. Too expensive to build correlated lineups and GBPs with CMC. Cash, a great play. I'm gonna agree to disagree with you on that point, my friend. Yes, I think maybe like if you're trying to fully game stack where like there's some situations with cheap or more expensive wide receivers, yeah, it's hard, but you can make it work, man. I think you can make it work in tournaments as well. Agree with you as a cash game play. So See, Mike likes Jacobs. Let's take a look at Jacobs. 6,900. Nice. On the road against KC. I always struggle a little bit with this guy just because he's not going to have the elite pass game and volume, but great matchup for him. Great price. I'm with you on that. Are people going to go back to him, you think? I don't know. After last week's dud? I think he's probably okay. The price is really nice for sure. Like in that range, I don't know if there's another guy that I would prefer. Probably at that point would want to just get up to a guy like Le'Veon Bell at 7,200 against Cincinnati. So the volume's there. Like I know that like Bell was kind of taken out a bit last week, but I still think that he's a guy that we have to consider, especially in this spot. 7,200 is a little bit more expensive than he's been in recent weeks, I feel like, but only 12 rush attempts last week. I guess that's a little bit frustrating. 5 catches. So yeah, maybe not the elite volume. I mean, I'm projecting him for about 21 touches. That might be a little bit high, but against Cincinnati, you never know. Barkley has to be low owned. This guy just seems like he's hurt, doesn't he? Like for an elite talent like that to have the season that he's having, I know that they have plenty of issues in the Giants dressing room for sure. Just, I don't know. It's just the volume should be there. Green Bay is a team that you can definitely run on. I'm in on that. It's just like feels like chasing Saquon at this point. It's just making a lot of people go broke. Yeah, like Mike in the chat's like is done wasting money on Saquon. Yeah, I think so too, man. Not interested in Chubb this week. I wasn't interested in him last week. Hunt has taken away so much of that passing game of volume. I mean, he got all of those catches very early. I think he had 3 catches last week. Got them all very early. So I thought that was going to absolutely bury me because I didn't end up playing him. 4 targets, 3 catches, 58 yards. Like maybe, I don't know. It just seems so inconsistent for me to really get behind him on a larger or a smaller field tournament, single entry situation. I'm just not really super interested when Fournette is right there. Derrick Henry against the Indianapolis Colts. This just feels like something people are going to chase, right? I don't know. Like after those big plays last week, he's priced up all the way to 7,600. I think that part of the reason Henry was in play last week was because he was so cheap. I mean, if we're looking at something like total yards over the last 4 games, it's Christian McCaffrey and it's Derrick Henry. Guys been just smashing. Not a great matchup against Indy. I don't know. Maybe it doesn't matter because this guy, I guess he's going to get like an insane amount of touches. All of them on the ground, not as high value for sure. But yeah, I don't know. I'm not in love with a lot of these guys right now, if I'm being completely honest. CMC, Lenny, and 4 wide receivers. Maybe. Not something I typically do. Todd Gurley, I guess I don't know if he's shown me enough this year to really trust a guy like that. I don't know. He seems like another guy that just seems like maybe he's still a little bit banged up. 6,500 for Todd Gurley against Arizona with that total. Maybe this is a time to take a shot on Todd Gurley in a tournament. I don't know. Seems bad. Benny Snell at 4,700 projecting for some touches. I don't love a lot of the value right now, that's for sure. Joe Mixon at 5,800 maybe. Yeah, that's really tough. I don't think there's a ton of great value this week. I think that if we're just purely looking at some of the volume guys, I think it's CMC, Fournette, Bell, of course. Kind of pick your poison with Derrick Henry and Saquon in that range. I think whoever said Jacobs before, I think that that's relatively sharp at that price tag, especially against KC. I could see that one working out for sure. Aaron Jones, we'll take a peek at Aaron Jones. I always think he's too expensive. He's like priced at this spot because of basically his efficiency and his few blow-up games. But yeah, if you're in on Aaron Rodgers against the Giants, maybe pairing him with Aaron Jones would make some sense. It just seems like such an inconsistent workload for me in a situation you probably don't have to expose yourself to. Not really in on Phillip Lindsay, just that split backfield there. Same thing. That's the issue with Aaron Jones as well. So again, like mentioned this on the Thanksgiving video, but weighted opportunity is the metric that I'm kind of paying the most attention to at wide receiver. So target market share of air yards, air yard market share. Devontae Adams, the guy that like seems like he might be the most underpriced. Cortland Sutton. think he's really interesting from that perspective. It's just really hard to kind of overexpose yourself to this game. That's just not going to be a ton of plays. I think that the price is interesting, but really tough to get behind that kind of low team total. Hopefully be back and forth a little bit. What was Sutton looking like last week in terms of snaps and touches? 5,800 again this week. So, I mean, I think that the price is kind of what has my interest peak. He had 8 targets last week, 1 reception. But, I mean, Tre'Davious White, Buffalo, maybe we ignore that one. The week before, 9 targets. I mean, so he's got 8 or more targets in 3 straight games still, guys. I think Cortland Sutton's got to be still in play in that price. Or maybe we just get up to DJ Moore, right? Just because that seems to be the play every week. We were playing these guys in the mid 5K range. I think that this is a spot where it would make a lot of sense for DJ Moore to continue to smash. So the short area of the field against Washington, sure. I mean, the targets for DJ Moore have been just crazy. This is probably where he should have been priced for weeks. So if you've been riding the DJ Moore train, like, congrats. 10 targets, 11 targets, 15 targets. Last week, obviously, he had his 2 touchdown performance, 9 targets. So he's got over 100 yards in 4 of the last 3 games. Yeah, I mean, DJ Moore is still an awesome play, I think. Always ends up being more of a one-off just because I'm not always super interested in Kyle Allen, but I think DJ Moore and Christian McCaffrey still totally fine together. You going back to OBJ and Jarvis Landry, or are we just going to kind of take our money from last week and run? What do you guys think about the Browns, guys? There's always value in condensed target shares, right? So 2 guys from the same team, top 7, top 8 in weighted opportunity rating. I guess you got to ask yourself if you think Pittsburgh is going to be able to score points. That's my concern. Definitely my concern. Yeah, let's talk about the KC guys. So Steve's saying if Tyreek is out, going to burn more money on Sammy Watkins. Yeah, dude. I haven't pulled the trigger on Sammy Watkins yet this year. But I mean, he's a guy that was popping in a couple weeks for sure. So this week he seems like 5,400. Yeah, that team total. Not a lot of this other stuff really stands out for him, but could be a spot. Could be a spot for sure. Tyreek Hill again, 3.3 yards per route run. That's pretty insane. AJ Brown right there, Marquise Brown. So yeah, if you're trying to pair Lamar with someone, Marquise Brown always in play for upside. I think we saw that on Monday Night Football last night. So 5,300. Again, some of these guys just haven't. He probably would have seen his price move a little bit, I would think. Decent amount of people talking about T.Y. Hilton. So let's touch on T.Y. quickly. So 6,200 against Tennessee, home favorite, nice total. Decent amount of plays in that game. I think he's someone that definitely can beat Adoree Jackson. So not concerned with that. I mean, I think he's okay. I mean, Tennessee's secondary is not great, as Flash was saying in the chat. So Code's got some notes for us here. T.Y. Hilton said today he was fighting through some tightness in his calf. That doesn't sound great. Doesn't sound great for sure. I mean, these Tennessee games are always pretty slow paced, so I don't know. I think that he's okay. I'm just not falling over myself to pay that for him, I don't think. Devontae Adams seems like still a great play at 7K to me. I mentioned I like Rodgers a little more than I typically do this week. I think he's an interesting tournament play on the slate. Terry McLaurin, 5,600 on the other side of this Carolina side. I don't know. Carolina is one of the best teams in the league at defending deep passes. Second best. It's going to be shadowed by James Bradbury. 15 implied total. I don't think I can pull the trigger on McLaurin. How in the world did I not cash despite playing Godwin? Still so confused. Yeah, I guess I skipped right over to Godwin. 7,700. Probably going to be matched up against DJ Hayden. Yeah, I mean, decent spot. I think that Jameis squarely in play with these guys too against Jacksonville. I know it's on the road. Yeah, I mean, Godwin was an awesome play last week. I think that maybe we go back to Evans, 6,900. I have no idea, honestly. I actually heard if you guys missed the review stream, Hodge had kind of a great idea. He's been playing the same lineup with Jameis every week, but he'll just duplicate it and play Godwin on one and play Evans on one. So if you did that the whole season, you'd probably be rich right now. I think that's an interesting way to approach it. Kirk at 5,700. Love me some Christian Kirk. 5,700 against LA. I mean, he's going to be shadowed most likely by Jalen Ramsey, right? I think that's a matchup he can win for sure. So that would be the concerns. But yeah, he's a guy that's standing out from a price perspective. If you just wanted to go to someone like Devontae Parker, who has been very consistent as well for the same price, I wouldn't fault you for that. I think they're relatively similar plays. I just keep staring at Mike Evans at 6,900. I don't understand that. Mike Evans versus Devontae Adams. What do you guys think, chat? I think that's an interesting one, if paying up. DJ Chark's someone we haven't talked about yet. 6,600 for him in this massive kind of pass funnel situation. I think we could definitely go back to DJ Chark, like the price on him. Wow, the Jags over the last 3 games, 74.8% pass rate. I mean, we've seen Fournette get involved in the passing game as well, so I'm not sure if that affects him a ton. But yeah, I'm into Chark, actually. That's a really interesting one. I mean, 31st in the league at defending the deep pass. Might be in on some Chark at 6,600. So Chark, Devontae, Evans, like those seem like the guys that I'm going to be paying up for. Someone mentioned Chris Conley in the chat, though. Like, same thing, 4,500. We went through this on the review stream. I think he had more air yards than, I think he was top 5 in air yards last week. So, I mean, Foles is not scared to air it out to this guy. I like that from a value perspective quite a bit. For sure. Let's see. In terms of value, oh man, I might be kind of with you with Sammy Watkins, Steve. That's an interesting one. On the really cheap side of it, though, Conley is really standing out, I think, to me. Like, I can see the argument maybe for Demaryius Thomas again. Like, he gets in the end zone last week. He ends up just smashing his price point. That one gets called back. I don't know. I'm always, like, at least intrigued by Demaryius because he's always sub 4K. I think that if he scores that touchdown, it looks a little different. You can still project him for volume, and it is Cincinnati. Is Robbie Anderson going to pop off? I don't know. Cincinnati can't defend the deep pass. The problem is Darnold's going to go there. It's always the problem, or at least this year so far. Yeah, Conley Watkins, I think, stands out as some of the cheaper plays that I like too, Steve. I'm with you. Hashtag Steve in the chat. Did I touch on Jonathan Williams at running back? Yeah, not interested. I just don't. I don't think I can play those guys that are just in such a time short. I mean, maybe if we need value that puts him in play, I don't know. Let's see here. Oh, Jonathan Williams. Were we talking about Jonathan or Jamal? Sorry about that. Jonathan Williams. So, yeah, he's 5,300. I could see that being one. Yeah, that with the Mac issue. Good call. Had the wrong Williams there. Jamal and Jonathan. So yeah, Jonathan, I think I'd be interested in more than Jamal for sure. Anything else we missed at the top end here? Robert Woods, 5,500 against Arizona. Are we scared of Patrick Peterson? Seems like this is a position that I've been forced to pay down for on DraftKings in particular, just with how tight pricing has been. But if you wanted to pay all the way up, for Kelsey at 7,200 against Oakland, definitely wouldn't fault you for doing that. Just might be a tougher thing to do in roster construction. I love this game overall. I mean, Mahomes with Kelsey makes some sense, especially if Tyreek is out. Gesicki continues to run a lot of routes. Got in the end zone last week. Still seeing decent volume. Philly's a tougher matchup. Obviously a lower total. Not a great game environment, so I don't love Gesicki, but from a price perspective, I think that he's still someone that stands out. Are we all off of Noah Fant? 3,700. The Chargers get that. Volume's still decent though. Like, just look at these guys that are popping in weighted opportunity. Noah Fant, like, he looks like the standout price play to me. Who else we got here? Yeah, by the way, that's sorting by weighted opportunity. It's like all the expensive guys. Henry, Kelsey, Andrews. I got buried by Vance last week. Yeah, the Vance one, it was tough to see that one not work out. I thought he was a pretty good play too, man. Higbee, 2,500. Everett. Yeah, so like the Higbee is interesting to me at mid price for sure, just because of the target share. Exactly what was just said in the chat. I think that's really sharp. Goddard at 4,100, I think, is still super interesting. See if there's any other, like, yeah, Higbee at 2,500 seems interesting. I mean, against Arizona, flowchart, whatever you got to say. But all these guys down there are probably thin. Raw points still Kittle, still Kelsey, still Ertz. What do we think about that mid tier of like, I mean, there's a lot of expensive tight ends on this slate, but like Andrews, Henry, Waller, those type of guys, they all seem pretty similar to me. All in pretty tough matchups as well. Doyle will be huge chalk with Ebron on IR. I could see it. So Doyle's 3,300 against Tennessee. Yep. I like the Doyle call a lot more than the TY call at first glance. Just paying down for your tight end would make some sense. Like Doyle versus Fant. You guys think Doyle is going to be significantly higher owned, hey? Again, defense, what I'm always prioritizing is trying to get access to pressure, trying to get access to pass attempts on the other side. That's something that always has to be on your mind, I think, when it comes to this. Obviously, home favorites is a bonus. Trying to target guys that take sacks, trying to target guys that throw picks. Obviously, that makes a ton of sense. So Philly pressuring a lot this season against Ryan Fitzpatrick. I got some interest in that. Miami, 32nd best offensive line. Fitzpatrick, someone that struggles under pressure. Don't hate it. Do we have any sub 2K defenses? We do. I wish the Oakland wasn't facing Mahomes. Giants against Rodgers. Miami doesn't pressure. Arizona against Jared Goff. At home. We know Jared Goff struggles on the road. Yep. I like that quite a bit. Shout out to Brian in chat. Mention Arizona D. I think that's sharp, man. 2,300. Cleveland against Delvin Hodges. Seems all right, too. Seems all right. Prefer the home defense for sure, but I think they're okay. Let's see. Any of the large favorites, are they all super expensive? KC is 2,700 for some reason. Derek Carr is not a guy that turns the ball over a ton. Not a great pressure situation, but they are a big favorite for what it's worth. Green Bay against Daniel Jones. I have some interest in that. They're expensive, though. Baltimore, maybe, with how they're playing. Game script. I don't know. Maybe San Francisco gives them a game. Yeah, seems relatively straightforward at defense. I think the pay down 2,300 Arizona certainly stands out. I've played Arizona a ton this year. I think Philly, if you're paying up, Philly's got to be pretty close to the chalk, right? Is that wrong? Let's see. Philly's got to be up there in terms of raw points. They're just expensive. Jacksonville against Tampa Bay at 3,300. I guess Carolina against Washington. Middle of the pack for pressure. I get that. But Haskins, like, it's just straight green for a guy that we're targeting as a home favorite. They're expensive, but paying up for either Philly or Carolina, I think would be probably the play for me. If you want to learn more about how to be a profitable DFS player, start now by hitting the subscribe icon in the bottom right-hand corner so you don't miss anything. But if you're looking to take your game to that next level, I go live each and every Sunday morning at 10:30 Eastern time on Twitch. Come hang out with us, twitch.tv/JoeHolka. You won't regret it.